Well, welcome to the Living Well podcast produced by Elim Christian Centre. It is awesome to have you with us today. My name's Mike Griffiths. I'm one of the pastors and counsellors here on staff, and today we're talking about a really interesting topic. We're talking about supporting someone through a mental health journey, with a particular focus on the supporter's role, which I think is a largely forgotten aspect of the challenge of going through mental health difficulties. We have with us today our senior pastors, Steve and Becs Green, wonderful friends, inspirational leaders. And once again, guys, so good to have you here with us.
Thank you, Griffy.
Thank you.
Now, you've shared this story before in a number of different places and forums. And of course, our focus today is on a different aspect of the story, which is really, Becs, your story. But Steve, for context, for those who maybe haven't heard one of our earlier podcasts or heard your story, could you give us a brief overview of this crisis, this thing that you went through that we're talking about today?
Great. Thanks, Griffy. And encourage anyone who hasn't heard the full scope of that story, go back to episode 1 of the Living Well podcast, because the whole thing is unpacked there.
Great.
In greater detail. But in a snapshot sense, 2019, I developed a balance disorder. It was caused by a virus that damaged a nerve in my right ear. That created what now is a lifelong condition that I sort of have to manage. But in the early stages, it was quite debilitating, really scary, kind of world is spinning all the time. There's a major disconnect between my balance and reality, and with no real clear answers or reasoning or no diagnosis, nothing. So 8 months of difficulty. In that period of time, I had come in and been inducted as a senior pastor of our church. So I've got this new mantle of load and responsibility and vision and all that kind of stuff. But right in that point is literally the hardest time of my own functioning physically. So I'm with a balance disorder. In the initial stages, it's kind of like having a bit of a brain injury. You get very fatigued. It's very hard to focus. Rooms with lots of stimulation and light, they create give you kind of moments of feeling incredibly dizzy or like you're about to fall over or about to pass out, things like that. So me trying to function in that role with that going on, with no real answer and no kind of...
And especially as a preacher, right? You got to stand up in front of 1,000 people,
Totally.
or whatever it is.
Totally. And so, for me, every time I'd get up to preach, I would almost pass out. I could barely function.
In fact, this is when you started preaching on a stool, right?
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the... I had no option. If I would try and preach standing, I'd literally nearly fall over. And so running multiple church services a Sunday, and Sundays roll around fast. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to look for ways of coping. So trying to sit down, it helps, but it's not awesome. I'm just constantly having these, dizzy moments and issues with feeling where I am in space and getting confused and then being incredibly fatigued and all that kind of stuff. So that basically put me in a position where this is really challenging physically. But then I'm also supposed to be a senior pastor and have it all together. And the issue was, every doctor said to me, "Hey, this is the last couple of weeks. You'll be fine. It'll be a couple of weeks.
Wow.
It'll right itself." But it never did. And so 8 months of just brutal physical challenge, while still trying to stand up in front of people and be the man of faith and preach the word and do what I felt was my calling, which and the physical effects started to give me psychological effects. So I then started to have quite severe anxiety. That anxiety just built and built and built and built over time and resulted in panic attacks, and just many panic attacks. Panic attacks while I'm preaching.
Wow.
My body has just gone into this full-on alarm mode, high stress, very stressed all the time, concerned about tomorrow, concerned about Sunday, concerned about leading, feelings very inadequate, very incapable of doing it, both physically and then now mentally. And so then my capacity is shrinking. I'm getting more and more fearful for tomorrow. I'm increasingly trying to find answers that they aren't coming. I'm increasingly praying, saying, "God, heal me," and nothing's moving, nothing's happening. So I'm just hitting dead end after dead end, roadblock after roadblock with no real answer in sight. you live with anxiety for long enough, it starts to bleed into every area of your life. And so what was just, I was a bit anxious about preaching. Now I'm just anxious about talking to people. I'm anxious about being in a room. I'm now anxious and having panic attacks at the thought of coming to church. Wow. So this is really deeply connected to my calling, my sense of purpose, and what I believe God had asked me to do. And now I can't really do it. And then I feel like I'm just an utter failure, lost. Then the best friend of anxiety is depression. So I get sad and I'm lost, and I begin to lose hope, lose joy, lose any sense of good in tomorrow, because tomorrow's really hard, and it's been so hard for so long. How do I get through this? There's no answers. In the midst of that, got a diagnosis, started getting some help. There's no real help. It's just time and a lot of physical exercise and stuff to do. But it's just literally do this for as long as you can, and maybe you'll get some improvement and some reprieve. So by that stage, I'm like, I can't do this. Yeah. I can't do this. I'm so anxious. I'm so depressed. I'm so lonely that my mind starts thinking of what is the end of this and where is the end of this. And when you lose joy and you lose hope, it is just the most horrible place to be. And so my mind started to think about what the next option might be. I started to fantasize about heaven in a very unhealthy way. Right. And because for me, I was like, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm letting down. I can't even be a dad. I can't even be a good husband. I'm just letting everybody down. I'm disappointing everybody around me. And I can't see a way forward. And so then that just led me to a very, very dark place. And obviously the rest of that story is in episode 1 of this podcast, but very dark place, very, very broken. And yeah, man, I was a mess and ended up in a very, very dark place for a decent period of time. And then that's kind of the story of me kind of hitting that wall, and then it's been sort of 4-year recovery out of the back end of that. But it was dark, man. It was hard, and you were very much involved in that. You from the ground, you've seen the depths of that. But you know, just absolute despair, no hope, no future, no purpose. I'm alone in the dark. There's no answers. There's no hope. I am utterly joyless and anxious, and there is nothing. Everything has lost its meaning.
And you've become convinced by this stage that you can't do the job.
I can't. Yeah.
There's no future. You're going to have to hand it over. So,
and to process that, going, I just got handed it to me, and then to stand up in front of all these people and go, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah. And because it wasn't that I didn't want to. No, it was that I physically couldn't, and then now I mentally couldn't. Yeah. And the more I tried to push through, going, no, Steve, you just got to show up again. You got to preach again. You've got to just be the man, and you got to have more faith. It didn't help. Yeah. Like I was still going through it, and then the anxiety just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where like I couldn't sleep from Wednesday to Sunday. I would sleep maybe 3-4 hours over the course of 4 days. Yeah. And then I'd wake up after taking 4 sleeping pills on a Saturday night just to try and get some rest before a church service, having only slept an hour because the sleeping pills weren't doing anything, because you're so stressed and anxious. Everything is going crazy, running on cortisol, running on, constantly got stress hormones going everywhere. And then having to show up and try and preach a sermon in front of, thousands of people on a Sunday, and having panic attacks while doing it, feeling like an utter failure. Many times I could do one, and then I had to go home and I would just cry, on the whole drive home, going, how does this end? Yes. Because there was no end.
And so this all ended on that day, right?
That fateful day.
I got the phone call, and I come around and I find you literally in the fetal position in your bedroom, uncontrollably weeping. Yeah. And it felt over for you.
It was, and in my mind, it was. Yeah. That was the point where I broke, and I couldn't keep it up anymore. I couldn't keep fighting, and I was so broken and lost, and my mind had so gone to ideas of suicide, and I'm like, and then I'm looking at my family. I've got 2 beautiful boys and an amazing wife, and I've got this what should be an incredible, and I feel like I've just failed everybody, and so that was the point where I go, it was a Saturday, and church was the next day, and I was supposed to be there, but the thought of it was just impossible. Yeah. And I just broke, and I cried like I'd never cried before for literally hours.
Wow.
And because in my mind and my heart, at the very core of my being, I've now lost everything and I have nothing. Yeah. And so what does that mean? Yeah. Great. Who do I tell? Yeah. Where is there from here? Yeah. And it was just utter confusion, brokenness, and just so lost. And that's where you stepped in.
So this is a world-ending crisis. You are deeply mentally unwell by this stage. Yep. It's been a highly traumatic event in terms of how we might define clinical trauma. It meets the key criteria for suddenness, uncontrollability, negative valence. This is unbelievably bad. You've suffered with this for months and months and months. Dealing with post-traumatic stress. You've been trying to grapple with the possibility that the dream, you have to give it away. So there's complicated grief in that you're trying to manage through, as well as anxiety, major repeated panic attacks, which are in and of themselves, that is not normal. That is your body completely freaking out, and it's a really big deal. Depression, suicidality, all that stuff. And this is where, Bex, we want to hear from you now. What was your experience of what was going on that led us to this point?
Yeah, well, we were obviously, when it first started, the kicking point was the dizzy spell that we had while we were overseas. And from then on, it was a series of, is he going to be okay? Is he going to recover? Is what the doctor's saying true? Is it just 2 weeks and he'll be okay? It was a take that tablet, take that medication, drink water, like just a constant going back to the doctors. And in the meantime, all our plans are getting shifted because he can't turn up to this or we can't turn up to that. So it was this kind of, I guess what started for me was this dance of juggling and covering what we could no longer continue as normality, while having absolutely no answers for what was actually wrong and how it would be resolved or how it would end. And that was all before the panic attacks even started. Wow. So that was just the dizziness and the dizzy spells and all of that stuff. And then when the panic attacks started, then it was a bit of a journey of I became like a catch-all, I would say,
you were.
For it all. And I'm a very capable person anyway. Sure. So before all of this, I kind of would pride myself in the fact that I was capable. I had incredibly large capacity. I'm very organised and can do lots of things, and I can do them pretty well.
Yes, you can.
So
Bex has a phenomenal capacity. It's outrageous.
So for me, it was like, easy. I can sort this out.
Right.
I can do this. Wow. No worries. Yeah, I'll take the meeting instead of you. Absolutely. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll do the other. What then slowly started happening was that I literally was almost standing there. I was like basically started living on tender hooks because I was watching him like a hawk everywhere he went, everywhere, for everything that he did, waiting for the moment when I would need to step in.
Wow.
And do
and there was many of those moments where you had to step in.
Okay,
many of them.
So what was it like for you? Were you just was that like task mode, or was this now starting to freak you out a little bit?
Yeah, so a lot of it started as task mode. So it started like, I'm used to this because this is what happens if he gets unwell or if there's sudden emergency and he can't turn up. So I was used to that. And we've done most of our lives, and ministry life especially, together, where we carry it together and we chuck things back and forth. And being that capable person, I would often just take something, carry it, and it was easy for me. Where it came to a point where I started to become panicked myself was when the panic attacks started to come in public places. What would happen was I'd watch him on the stage. I could tell just by watching him. I could tell by his posture. I could tell by the look on his face. I could tell by the tone in his voice when he wasn't okay. Right. And I would be waiting. I'm standing there the whole moment. So he's on the stage preaching. I'm watching as the panic comes. I'm standing there going, at what point do I need to step in? Is he going to be able to ride this out? What do I do? Do I just jump up there and take over? Do I wait for him to reach out? Do I just, like, we're standing there looking at each other, and we could almost see the communication between our eyes, because he's looking at me, I'm assuming for reassurance and telling me that I'm not okay, this is happening right now. And I'm looking at him going, I don't know what
do I do? Yeah.
And then there were moments where there was one time he said to me, hey, you said, can you come up? I think I need you up here. And so I just went up and I just stood next to him. And then he was able to get through it. And then after that, that was the first service. After that, he had to go home.
I was so exhausted. Yeah.
I
was living on an hour's sleep. I'd had this, because for me, the anxiety and the balance was so deeply connected. So if I just got a little bit triggered with my balance, the anxiety would just go through the roof. And so this feeling of unease with the balance, it just partnered up with a monstrous stress response and a panic attack. And that, if you've ever experienced that, you're so depleted after 100%. That. And so the thought of going, I have to repeat that 2 more times. I was like, it's impossible.
What's interesting, though, is this hypervigilance, Becs, that you're now having to live in.
Yeah, right? It was. It was like, I don't know whether you would say that it was an adrenaline space of, it was hypervigilance, hyper-awareness. I'm watching everything. I'm at every time he walked out the room, I'm looking to see if there are any cues, any signs that it's all going to fall over, or that I need to jump in and save something or rescue something. I think that Sunday he had to go home after the first service, so I had to literally take his notes, read them, and then preach. Wow. After that, there were Sundays where he was at home really not well, and I was here having to just, I guess, save face and look like everything was okay and be normal.
Can I stop you there? I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge, right, for people who are supporting other people through mental health challenges. It's not just how do I help you, but how do I save your reputation, right? Like, because we love our spouses or partners or friends who are going through these things, and we don't want them to appear to not be coping, and so we're kind of doubly coping. And that also must be exhausting. And I think the hypervigilance thing, right? You said, is that an adrenaline response? And of course, it essentially is. Your baseline is now elevated, so your heart rate is going to be higher than it would be at rest. Your breathing rate, the amount of hormones in your system, it's just, everything's just elevated, and that is depleting you at a faster rate than normal. Your blood pressure is higher, all of those things. And so this is life now. And how are you navigating this in your head? Like, are you just waiting for God to heal? Are you just hoping for it to turn around? Or are you just not even there? You're just trying to cope day by day?
I think half of it was probably survival mode.
Yes.
I think just by personality, I tend to
organise lists, to-dos, get it done.
And don't think too hard, because if you think too hard, then the badness of the reality is going to prevent you from doing what you need to do. So I would just block out what it was and then charge forward. I think that's how I cope for most of the time. Just don't think, do. But there was also the other half of it was a desperate lean into God.
Yes.
There were times when people who were in the know would come up to me after a Sunday and take me aside and say, how are you doing this? And I would literally, my only answer was, I have no idea. It must be God, because I probably had some of my best messages, I felt like the best times I'd led our congregation was literally when my entire world was falling apart behind me and nobody knew that it was. The church knew that he was kind of not very well and was having some dizzy issues, but really didn't know the extent of it. And as you said, I was trying to protect him at the same time.
Yeah, like a condition like this it's not like you lost an arm and you can see it, or you've got cancer and it's a tangible thing. It's like, you look good. And like, great. But there's an internal thing that's going on that you cannot see. And I'm actually deeply unwell. But and then how do you quantify that to people? Oh, you look great. And like, actually, I'm really, really, really sick and not good. And you just, like, you know what I mean? You can't
really
have that
hard for
conversation.
people to understand, and it's hard to explain it, especially if someone hasn't been in that position of a mental health journey where, and you can't explain it. No. It's not like I can go to him and say, come on now.
Yeah.
Logically, this doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Well, of course it doesn't, but that's not helpful. And so you can't really explain it in logical sense a lot of the time to people.
That's so hard too, because then that is isolating in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Becs, what was your big fear in this as we're coming through this, as we're getting to that, like Steve's worst day? What was your fear?
I think I probably had two major fears. One, of course, was that he would never get well, that we would lose everything, because our entire world was wrapped up in his ability to do what he does. And when you are a pastor's wife, which I know that I'm more than that, but in this scenario, if I'm a pastor's wife, then if he can't do it, then what does that mean for me? Yeah. If we can't do it, what does that mean for our children? Our whole world has been built around this thing that no longer seems possible. And so there were lots of fears about what that would look like. Yeah. And if he had to stop, what would I do? Would I be able to keep going? Like, how would that look for us as a family?
Yeah.
All of those types of questions.
That's huge.
And then there was the fear that the worst would happen when, I think on his worst day, I called you and said, help, Steve's not okay. And within 20 minutes, you and Liz were at my door. And then we sat down and we had a conversation, and you asked me the question of, what are you afraid of? And I said that I was afraid that he would do something stupid because he was having those thoughts of, the way that he put it was fantasizing about heaven. And I think the next day, that day was probably his worst day. The next day would have been one of my worst days, which was when I had to get up in the morning to go and lead a church and leave him at home. And I ended up calling a friend who came. I just said to him, I just need you to come and be with him and get him out of bed and take him for a walk, do something, but you just need to stay with him until I get home. And so I think the friend had actually had to leave a few minutes before I got home. And so when I walked through the door that day, there's only one time I've done this, and this was that day, I made the boys wait outside before I went inside, just in case something had happened within that space of time. And that was probably my biggest fear in all of it, was that one day I would come home to something that I couldn't reverse or fix or rescue anymore. And I think in the end, there was a conversation that we had where you said to Steve, can you tell her that is not something she has to worry about? And that was the biggest help for me, was just to hear him make a promise to me that day wouldn't come.
So good.
And I think that was when I was able to, I guess, just put those fears aside. Of course, I was still very fearful, but putting those fears aside, trusting the promise that he had made, trusting in his word, and able to then take steps forward, I guess.
Right. Wow. And of course, this is a reality for plenty of our listeners out there. And yeah, great. Thanks for sharing, Becs. It was really, it was huge and really hard to hear. And okay, so let's move on a little bit into the recovery journey, day 2, from then on, getting back to normal. Stevie, if the stages of your recovery, like, we're like chapters in a book, what would the chapters be? What were the seasons or phases of recovery as you saw it?
Great question, Mike. I'm just still kind of processing. I didn't know that you didn't let the boys come in.
Have I not told you that before? Oh.
So I'm just feeling that a little bit right now. But if I was to look at the stages of recovery and the chapters and what they would be. Chapter 1 would be trusting you.
Right.
Because I remember what you said to me was, because in my mind, I'm done.
Yeah.
There is no coming back. I'm so far away from where I need to be, and I don't even understand where that would be. And you said to me, Stevie, you don't know. I said, Mike, I'm alone in the dark, and I don't know. I'm lost. And you said,
Yeah, I remember this. Doing great, bro.
thank you. I knew you'd make me cry, you mongrel. You said to me, Stevie, you don't know the way out, but I do.
So trust me. Yeah, so good.
And that's what it felt like, though. It literally felt like every day for about 3 months, you would ring us up and you would say, okay, guys, this is what we're doing today. This is what we're doing today. We're going to do this and we're going to do this. And we just had to be told every day what to do.
So the power, right, of having someone.
You guys are both messing me up, so flipping heck.
So the power of having someone that you can trust to walk you through that, someone with a bit of knowledge and training.
That was so deeply helpful because I really was lost and broken.
Yep.
And you said to me, Stevie, I'm the handrail.
Yeah.
Just hold on to me and we'll get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Move on. Next chapter.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Okay, so chapter 2 was then fight. I had to fight.
Good.
Because you were telling me there is a way out. And there are steps and things I now have to do.
Yeah.
There is work to be done. And when you are deeply depressed and anxious and you're still and there is no hope, and now I'm holding on to you and I'm trusting that you've got the way, I now have to fight my way there. I have to fight. I have to do everything you're telling me to do.
Yes.
And even though every fiber of my being doesn't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to believe. Every part of me is pulling me down, and I have to fight to get out. And that's the best word I could use to describe that next part in the journey was I had to fight.
And what people don't realise is that the fight is all inside.
It's all inside.
Yeah, great. Okay,
it's all inside.
So fight. What was the next phase? Next season?
The next phase was maybe a glimmer of hope.
Cool.
Because you're fighting, and then you have a good hour.
Yeah, great.
And you go, oh,
great.
I'm not. Those feelings are kind of gone. I'm seeing maybe that there is hope.
Great.
And then it's fight, and then it's
sure.
but then it's I got a day of good, and so then you start to see these little windows of sunshine.
Love it.
And you're like, okay, maybe there is, and it's 10 steps forward, 3 steps back. I remember you would say to me, we get some progress, and I go, oh, Griffey, I'm gone, bro. I'm too far gone. You're like, it's a speed bump.
Yeah.
It's a wobble.
Yeah.
We're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And that next year is literally like that glimmer of hope. I'm starting to see that there could be a good day.
Great.
When I haven't seen that for months.
Great.
And now I'm starting to believe. And then probably chapter 4 would be a bit of hope.
Lovely.
Oh, maybe there is a good out of this.
Yeah,
and maybe I can, because those good is getting better. Those good little moments getting more. And I've got the toolkit, and I know what it is to fight, and I know what I need to do, and I know how when I do fight, I grow and there's progress, and if I can put all that together, then I've got this sense of, I think what Griffey has said to me might be true.
Come on.
Because up until that point, I probably didn't believe you, to the depth of who I was, because I was so locked in to my own mind.
Yeah,
and so it was. And now I'm starting to live with a sense of hope. And then the next chapter is, I would say, re-entry.
So a little bit of hope. That's probably a bit of buoyancy coming, right? And then maybe the next chapter, re-entry, is also about now I'm developing resilience.
Resilience, yeah, and that was, and that took lots of time.
Yes.
So that was a long process of slowly starting back, picking a few things up, but then safeguarding that with plenty of rest and input.
Right.
Because you kind of feel like, oh, I'm back. And you go. And then very shortly you go, I'm not back.
Exactly.
And then you've taken a few steps back. You got to build your way back to that place. And so it was a long journey of that re-entry of allowing my capacity to get back up to my buoyancy.
Yeah,
and
great. Because it's kind of hope, disappointment. Hope, disappointment. Hope, disappointment.
Yeah.
But if you hang in there long enough, resiliency grows.
Yeah. And then there's this little turning point somewhere in there where you just, you've done all that work for long enough that you just wake up one day and go, oh, I'm on the other side.
Love it. Love it.
And sure, there's going to be a few moments where you slip back a little bit, but I remember describing it to you like there's a thin veil.
Yes.
It's a very thin veil, thin line between me. I remember saying it in this respect. There's a really thin line between me being okay and not okay.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I'm okay. And then within an hour, I'm like, I'm not okay. Yeah. But what I realize is that there's a thin veil the other way from being not okay to being okay.
Brilliant.
So if I can slip back quickly, I can slip up quickly.
So good. Okay.
And so I kept holding on to those sorts of moments. So re-entry and then...
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Fantastic. Bexy, back to you. What, because you're looking at this through an entirely different experience. If the different seasons, phase of recovery were chapters of a book that you were writing, what would the names of those chapters be from your perspective? What did you see? What were you observing and experiencing through that journey?
I think actually looking at and hearing what he's just described, I would probably label many of the chapters the same.
Nice.
But for me, that was only part one of the story.
Oh, good.
So I would have an entire second section of the story, which was really...
That's brilliant, Bex.
My own journey of healing, which only came after he had reached a point of mostly recovery.
Brilliant.
In the process.
Okay. Let's go there now.
Okay.
So Bex, you know, you're there, you're holding it together. And you really were. And Steve is recovering and you're carrying the kids, the house, the finances, work, team, him emotionally as a human being, as your husband, you're holding the marriage together, you're doing all of this stuff. What did that feel like, especially because for him, he's only focused on him. You're focused on everybody else. What was that like?
So, as I said initially, it was like, yeah, I'm good. I've got this. No worries.
Yep.
But there did come a point where he was, as I said, mostly recovered.
Yeah.
And I suddenly got to the point, and it was quite sudden, where I suddenly woke up one day and I went, I'm pretty tired now. I felt like it was like I'd run a marathon. Wow. It was like Forrest Gump, you know, when he goes out for the run and then he just stops and he goes, I think I'm going to go home now. Yes. It felt like one of those moments where I suddenly
love that you brought a Forrest Gump reference into this podcast. That's just the best thing.
I'm
not a smart man, but I know what love is. I love you, Becky.
Gosh. So I just kind of got to a point where I went, I think I'm tired now. And I think I have some needs because for the longest time, and so it should have been, but it was all about him and what he needed. And I essentially, because we were in survival mode, had to just squash down any form of need, anything that might have been helpful for me, squash it down because we were just surviving. But then there came a point where I realized I cannot do that any longer. And I needed to explore the idea of maybe there was some stuff that I needed. But in the initial stages and conversations of that, I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know what it looked like.
Right.
I didn't know. I remember sitting with a life coach and her saying to me, okay, so what are the needs? And I said, I don't know. I literally do not know. I don't even have words to tell you what my needs are because it's been so long since
And at this point, this is like 3 years. Like this is a long way along the road.
2.5 to 3 years
of, because the recovery for me was long.
Yeah.
And there was wobbles and speed bumps.
Yes.
But you're talking, you've carried
Yeah.
everything.
And there was times where it was like, I think he's getting better. What? Nope.
not quite.
Not quite. And so it was this constant, like,
unease,
it was like I was standing there holding my hands out, ready to catch anything that might fall. And so I'm constantly waiting for a ball to drop.
Yes.
And so there was like no sense of rest. Everything was heightened because I'm just waiting for it to catch, because even in the moments I thought he was good, he wasn't good.
Yeah. Wow.
So there was a lot of back and forth like that. And so I got to this point where I realized I'm tired. I need to focus something on me. I didn't know what they were. So I had a coaching session with a life coach, and she put words on cards in front of me. And I just looked at the words on the card, words like security, safety, value, rest, all those kinds of words. And some of them I was like, no, I don't need that. No, not that. But then it was like, oh, that. Oh my goodness, do I need that? Do I need security? Like, I really need to know that it's okay, that I'm okay. And so I realized there was lots of different words there. And so we just made a little list of those words. And I needed the cards to help me because I couldn't come up with them on my own. And then I had to have a conversation. Then I went back to Steve and I had a conversation with Steve, and I said, hey, we went for a drive on the beach. And the first time was not so successful because he had hit a major wobble at that point. And so the first time we tried to have the conversation, and he was so willing and wanting for it to be the moment for me, but it just wasn't. Yes. He just wasn't there. And so I went through my speech that I'd worked on with my life coach, and then he then shared the space that he was in, so we kind of had to take a few steps back and,
And I felt terrible about that, because I'm like, I know you've been amazing, but I'm a little bit not okay again. It was just like,
so
it was like a reasonably decent blip kind of along the journey, which made me kind of, have to take a few steps back and come back.
And that was very hard for me. But
why?
Because I'd finally voiced it, and I'd finally realised the needs, and I'd finally put names to them. And then I had to wait. Then I couldn't.
Yes. Great. Okay.
But there was also a point in realising too that those needs needed to get met, but they weren't going to be met by Steve, and that was okay.
Very good.
So I had to figure out, and I did that with my life coach and with Liz as my counsellor at the time, figure out how I was going to get those needs fulfilled and find those places. And if it wasn't going to be from Steve, then who or how was that going to happen? And it may have, obviously everything is God, finding your need there. That's kind of a shoo-in. But then there were other times and spaces where, like, I leaned on my dad more, or I leaned on a friend more, or I leaned on you and Liz more, or, in those types of spaces.
And these are needs like value and validation. Yes. And to be heard and to receive empathy.
Yes.
And those sorts of
feel
things.
secure,
Great.
Yeah.
I think that part of, when that point happened, that was the first time I saw Becs. She'd been so gracious with me the whole way through. Yeah. And that was the first time she was like, I'm really frustrated and I'm a bit angry that we're here again.
Great.
Because she just voiced her needs to me, and I'm like, I can't. And so that made me, there was also a little bit of wake up for me as well, going, oh, this girl is depleted. Yes. And she needs me to be better. And so that's like the impetus to fight as well and go after.
Great. So Becs, am I right that the growing awareness of your deficit is happening at the same time that your role is changing?
Yeah.
Because at some point you had to give some stuff back. Like he had to step up and carry again as a partner in life. How did you do that? How did that role change? That must have been weird and so difficult.
I did it very poorly, I think. I naturally, partly because of my capableness, but also another part of just how I have developed as I've grown into my adulthood is that one of my dialogues inside of my head, as good or bad as it is that I am responsible for everything.
Yes.
So when that is your dialogue, so I was always a responsible little girl.
Yep.
I always, got good marks. I always did good things and the right things. I followed the rules. I got straight A's. I was a good little girl.
Yep.
And that was how I went into my adulthood as well. I always follow the rules. If it says don't park on the grass, I don't park on the grass. If it says go around that way, I don't go around that way. Like I really do. I'm very diligent at all of those things. But when you take a person like that and you put them into a crisis like this, where they, just for survival, they do have to carry everything, then that just doubles down on an already negative dialogue or commentary that's already running my life.
Yes.
The I'm responsible for everything dialogue.
Wow.
You throw me into a crisis like this and it's just confirming what I already believed in the first place, which was that I have to be responsible for everything. So then you get to the turning point where he's now better. So this is now, I'm talking about a time after he has his second wobble and we have to squash the feelings back down again, the needs back down.
Yep.
That's what I did. I literally just went, okay, back down they go.
Oh my gosh.
And so now we're at a point where I've realized, I am really struggling to hand back anything.
Great.
Because I am still carrying the fear that he can't carry it, that he's going to fall over.
Yeah.
So what it took was, and this was like amazing on his part that he saw that this was a need that had to happen. He just bought me a journal because he knows that I love journaling. And in the front of the journal, he wrote me a letter. And in that letter, it said, I just want you to know that I'm strong again. You can lean back on me now. And it was him communicating that really clearly and really simply to just let me know and to almost draw the line and go, you're good. We're good now. You're good. You can lean on me again.
You can relax.
Yeah. You can relax. Yeah.
You can let go.
Yeah.
And were you able to?
Yeah, I think I was.
You were pretty much from that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I'm assuming, Steve, that there were times when you had to say to Bex, no, babe, I got this now.
Totally.
Like there had to be some coaching,
I had to
right?
keep reaffirming, I've got it.
I
I'm
actually
good.
remember the first time it happened.
Okay.
So we got a late night phone call about a really good friend's grandfather who was sick in hospital and like about to pass away.
Yeah.
And we got a call from our friend to say, hey, Mum would just love it if one of you would go up and pray. Before he passes away. And I remember getting the phone call and I was like, yep, I'm on my way. Immediately thinking, it's me. I'm going.
Because up until this point, it had to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he just got up and I think I must have been really tired or it must have been a big weekend or I wasn't feeling well or something. But I remember thinking, I don't know if I can do this. And then he just got up, grabbed his keys and he goes, you stay home, I'm going. And that was the first time in a long time that he had taken something back off me again and physically gone out and done it. And I remember that being quite significant for me.
What did that feel like for you?
Oh, it was just such a sense of relief that that it was now him re-engaging back at an equal
It's a partnership.
partnership.
So that was way more than just getting in the car and going to hospital at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That was a sign of where things were back at. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Bexy, and all of this, like part of why we're talking about this is because this is a massive untalked about area. We talk about mental health and people who are depressed and suicidal and dealing with anxiety or other issues and how difficult it is, but we never really talk about those who walk alongside them and hold them up. What are some of the key lessons? What are some of the key messages that you would give to someone who loves someone who's going through a mental health crisis that you know they need to hear?
I think one of the biggest realizations I had to come to, and I think that one of the first things that I tell another person is that my role in it all is not to fix them
So good.
or to fix the situation because I simply can't. There is actually nothing that I can say or do that would fix what was going on with him. And I had to come to a point where I stopped trying to fix it, because otherwise every day you can be like, oh, what am I going to do? We're going to do this today. We're going to do this today, hoping that some magic thing, some like positivity list on a wall is going to bring them out of that place. And that's just not the reality. That's just not the case. And so I had to understand my role. And I think you helped us understand that. In that, it was actually the conversation that you had with our boys that helped me understand.
Okay, tell us about that.
I remember, so we had two children. Obviously, we've got 2 boys. I think
Judah was about 10.
Yeah, Judah was about 10 at the time. Rocky would have been about 7. So those ages, like Rocky, and he's Rocky, so he's in his own world. He was quite unaware of what was happening, and his best mate lived next door. So it was often on bad days, I would just say, hey, why don't you go next door and play, and send him off. So he was quite sheltered from it all. He didn't really realise. Judah knew something was not right with Daddy. And he would ask, Mum, what's wrong with Dad? What's happening with Dad? And I remember a conversation that you had with them.
Well, it was Lizzie who said to me, Mike, you need to talk to the boys. Or someone needs to talk to the boys.
Yeah. And you sat down with Judah, especially our oldest. Rocky was next door. We felt like it wasn't going to be helpful to put that in front of him if it wasn't already something he was even thinking about.
Good wisdom.
So you spoke to Judah, and I remember you telling part of your story and saying, I was once in a bad way, but look at me now, I'm okay. And Daddy right now, he's not very well, but he will one day be okay. And you said to him, all he needs from you is for you to tell him that you love him and tell him that he's a good dad. And I remember watching you do that with him and realising that was all my role was.
Very good.
Was actually just to love this man. To assure him that I wasn't going anywhere, that I was here, that we were, that I was going to stick around, we were going to do this thing together, and that it was going to be okay.
Very good.
And I think to recognise that I couldn't fix it, but I could remain through it, was quite significant for me.
Because you got to know what you've got to have something to do, but you've also got to know what you can and can't.
Yes.
I think it's very, very insightful, Becs. Becs, you also shared earlier before when we were chatting about a picture that Liz had for you that you found very helpful. Can you share that?
So once I got to the point and round 2 of meeting my needs, the successful round.
Successful.
Liz said to me, she gave me this picture in one of our counselling sessions, which again is really important for the supporter, is to go through counselling yourself. And I did from day one.
Brilliant.
Liz really walked the journey with me. And she said to me, she gave me a picture, and it was just so helpful. Often pictures help me because they make it tangible. She said to me, think of it this way. You've been on a battlefield and you've been fighting. So you've been in the war, hands-on, doing the thing. She said, but it's over now. Your role is now, you now need to change where you are positioned. So now you need to come into the medic's tent. And we pictured it, and it was just a big red tent. And she said, now you need to come and you need to be in the medic's tent. And she said to me, you need to take time in there, and you're going to heal, and you're going to rest, and you're going to get some stuff sorted that needs to get sorted. You're going to, there's going to be a few wounds that need some patching up.
Great.
And then she said, and you're not allowed to leave. She said, you've got to stop yourself from running back out onto the battlefield and trying to keep going and doing it all and jumping in and, catching everything. She said, your goal is to stay in the medic's tent. And that was just really helpful.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Stevie, what would you say to someone who is trying to support someone through a mental health journey from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a tough journey.
It's a big job, eh? It's a big job.
Mate, it's monstrous. And like, as much as I had my own battle to fight and had to get through that, and only I could do that work, on the side right next to you is this person who's watching that and hoping. and believing and also trusting and just wants the best for you too.
And literally, sorry to interrupt, but literally lying in bed at night while his heart is beating through our mattress, I am lying next to him just praying that he will fall asleep. Because so it's literally right next to each other with two different experiences of the same devastating issue.
Yeah. And so I would say that the role is exactly what you've articulated. It's like you can't fix them. So don't try. Don't try and give them all the answers.
You've got to delegate that, right?
You have to. That's got to be someone else. You can, but your role is that supporter. It's the helper. It's that I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, great.
Because, when you're not in a good place mentally, for someone to say, hey, you're going to be okay, and like, it's totally empty. It doesn't compute, doesn't equate. Giving tips of advice of, just trust God more, or whatever it might be, or all those well-meaning things, because you just want to help and you're trying anything.
Totally.
But even like I said to Bex one time, I said, stop asking me if I'm okay. Because the answer is I'm not.
Great.
So just let me know you're here with me.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
I just need to know you're in it and you're walking with me, you're not going anywhere. And so I think that piece of advice for if you're loving someone through all this is to let them know, hey, I'm here with you. I'm not going anywhere. Like we're in this. And,
I love that.
And it's not your responsibility to come up with the ways that they're going to get better.
Yeah, great.
You've got to trust that to someone who can help and walk the journey. I would say pray, learn the depths of prayer, because in all of this, it's the big question we have is, why are we going through this? But actually the deeper question is, God, what are you doing in the midst of some of this pain and in the midst of the suffering? And God is not orchestrating the pain, but God has purpose in everything. And the greatest moment of suffering and pain is our greatest victory with Jesus on the cross. Like that is the most clear example that God uses that to bring something resurrected and beautiful out of it. And I would say like where we are now is a resurrected version of
100%.
Our old life. It's like a whole bunch of who we were died and has come back in a much better, purer, more life-giving form. And I feel like, I live and lead differently, but and my capacity it's not back. It's it's totally different. It's more and beyond, but in a much healthier way. And so it's that willingness to just stand in the gap. Because if you do have someone that is going through mental health stuff, I guarantee you for them that prayer is very hard.
Great.
Faith is very hard.
Yes, very good.
And so, and then if they are a Christian as well, they're going, oh man, that's bad. I can't really pray. I can't hear God.
That makes it all
I struggle
worse.
to read the word. So it goes, and then you're going, oh, that's really bad.
Yeah.
But to say, hey man,
Yeah.
I know you're struggling with your faith, but don't worry, I've got faith for us.
Yeah, that's
don't
awesome.
worry. Look,
That's awesome.
I know you're struggling to pray. Keep pressing in, but I want you to know I'm praying for us.
Yeah.
I've got that. I'm handling that for us.
That's great.
And that those little things that you can do, it lifts that kind of burden of I should really be this, but I'm not. But also the hand of God as God moves in it, and what God does in it is quite supernatural. And I think don't underestimate the what, not the why.
Right.
What are you, God? What is it you're doing in this? What are you teaching? What are you shaping? What are you forming? What is it you're wanting us to learn and grow in this season? And I don't think I don't think we've had any more formative season of our life than the last 5 years.
I think we would both say we are completely different people to who we were in 2019 when we left for that trip.
Like you'd never want to go through it.
No.
Yeah.
But you'd never want to have not gone through
I'm
it.
so grateful.
It taught us how to die to ourselves and live completely surrendered
To God.
To God.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a brutally beautiful journey.
Beautiful.
And if you will stay the course and trust God in the midst of it all, there is there isn't an end. There is light. It's more than just that. It's resurrection.
Yeah, great.
It's new life.
New life.
Okay. Amazing, guys. Thank you.
We love you.
Love you guys too. And, wow, it never ceases to astonish me how, isn't it crazy how it's our broken stories that put so many people back together, right?
Yep.
And we are so grateful that you guys are willing to share what was a pretty horrific time, because it gives permission to all of us to actually own the difficulty and yet find the hope to walk through it.
Yep.
And that is a wonderful thing. Well, that's us for this time. I really hope you've enjoyed this, and really encourage you to actually share it with someone out there that maybe is walking this journey, and you know that they would be really blessed.
Before we finish, Griffy, I just want to do a shameless plug shout out, because Bex mentioned the nature of how she's wired around being, I'm responsible for everything. So let me just say, this podcast is brought to you by Irresponsible by Becs Green.
Fantastic.
It's her newest book, available on Amazon at becsgreen.com. It's a very, very insightful and helpful book about some of her journey through that. So
Wonderful.
I just wanted to shout out.
And having read the book, I concur. It's not just full of great stuff. It's actually an important book.
Right.
I believe all Christians, certainly anyone in ministry, but all Christians need to read that book. I agree. 100%.
Thanks, guys.
Buy it. Buy one for your mates. So good to be with you guys. Make sure you catch our other podcasts. There's some phenomenal information out there that will be really, really helpful. We want you to live well. We've got lots of services going on all our campuses. We'll see you Sunday.
Thank you for joining us today. If this has raised anything for you that you feel like you need some immediate support, then you can ring counselling at 1737, or you can also text them. Or possibly you'll want to talk to your local pastor. If you're part of Elim Christian Centre community, then you can get some free counselling on counselling at elimchristiancentre.org.nz. Thanks for listening.